Donald Trump, our president, do you know his chart?
Of course. Like the back of my fucking hand.
Okay, so based on what you know, tell us, does it fit him or does it suit him to a T that he is the way he is?
Yes, Donald Trump is a Gemini sun. He is a Leo rising, and he is a Sagittarius moon. He was also born on a lunar eclipse. So yeah, I mean, Donald Trump is definitely the perfect manifestation of his birth chart. Truly, truly his birth chart to a T. That doesn't mean that every Gemini sun, Sagittarius moon, Leo rising is Donald Trump, because a chart is nature and nurture. But being born into the circumstances that he was born into and having the chart that he has, it's the most literal chart you can ask for. It's crazy. Geminis in general, you know, they love to throw spaghetti at the wall. And it's an air sign known to be the twins. So there's a duality around it. But there's also just sort of, you know, they love to say shit. They love to just like stir the pot. And that's kind of what riles them up. Like they enjoy the process of kind of like saying things. Nothing's too serious. We'll see how it lands. Lighten up. Have a sense of humor. You know, that's the Gemini motto.
All right, you guys, we're in for a big treat on today's episode. It's going to be a super fun episode. We have Aliza, right? I said it right, thank
beautiful.
God. Kelly, who is an astrologer. Would you say you're also a tarot card reader? Overall, what do you call yourself?
I call myself an astrologer.
Okay.
And recently I have given myself permission to say spiritual coach, which feels like a big undertaking. Coach is a hardcore word.
Yeah.
I get scared of the word coach.
I don't love the word coach.
Maybe we can like workshop something else.
Yeah, because it's an overused term. I
Yes.
can't stand it. Everyone's a coach now.
Yes, but people also know what it means and signifies. And I do feel like, what are my other options? Like, to say like I was trying to do like a modern mystic, and I was like, that's so cheesy. Like,
I don't like that.
That doesn't hit for me.
Did you chat GPT it?
No. I'm not going to ask ChatGPT right now.
Because I think like, by the way, I love ChatGPT. It like gives me so much great information. I actually did this with Peter Crone on the podcast. Remember? He calls himself an architect, like a mind architect. And we had to like find was it Peter? No, it wasn't. It was Jim Curtis. Do you know Jim Curtis? Oh, so, and we are like going through all these like synonyms, but coach, how about expert? Advisor?
I like expert. That's nice. Advisor maybe I feel like when I get into the advisor, it gets into some like dicey territory with like psychic advisors and like that kind of can open conversations I don't want to have. But expert is nice.
Right?
Expert is nice.
Well, what kind of classifies anybody as a spiritual coach anyway? Like, how do you become like why would you now feel it's okay to call yourself a spiritual coach?
Well, it's because I've been doing this work for now 12 years.
Okay.
So I have sort of like my own tenure, my own time with it. Because the work is not exclusively astrology, because it's not exclusively tarot, because it's not exclusively manifestation, it's like sort of a hybrid of all of these. I'm also very interested in like just people and systems and like wellness and how we can live better lives through these different types of spiritual systems. So trying to sort of figure out like that's a mouthful, right? So like what is the best way for me to communicate all the things that I do and feel passionately about and feel sort of like an expert or coach in.
So do people come to you, like, how do you, like, are you, like, do people come to you as, like, a spiritual coach or advisor and say, listen, do they come with you with a very specific, particular problem, or is it overall? Like, are you ever on retainer for people? Or is it just more you read what their charts are saying and you do their tarot cards and then they're on their way? Like, what's the process?
It's sort of all of the above.
Okay.
I am on retainer with clients that I've been working with now for years and years and years, you know, pre-COVID, you know, like a long time.
Yeah.
Went through a whole global pandemic together. I also occasionally have my books open for one-off sessions. I also make myself available, you know, on the internet through like AMA questions. Through my podcast, Horoscope Weekly, I'll do different events or have different opportunities for people to like submit questions for me to answer. So it kind of runs the gamut. It can be the sort of like touch point one-off where someone has a specific question they want to know, or it could be really working together to figure out what does it mean to shape and create your life using these different practices.
So like but once you kind of read somebody's chart, does the chart change? Does it like ebb and flow, or is it just like once you know your stuff, is that all?
It's sort of it there's a few different answers. The chart is sort of your blueprint.
Okay.
It is sort of this, this static architecture for who you are, but planets in the sky activate different things in the chart at different times. So there's different cycles that we go through. And based on what cycle one is going through, the chart is going to light up in different ways. There's going to be certain themes, certain narratives that sort of rise to the top of significance and importance in that person's life. And then there's a whole other theory, which is progressions, which is basically your chart maturing through time. That moves more slowly. That starts to get more interesting as we get older, but that actually does change the chart as we get older and go through time.
So like that's why I guess people would kind of constantly come back to you, right? With the same kind of, even though it's a blueprint, like you said, depending on where the planets are, or just for where we are in life or society, things can have a different effect, right?
Yes. And I think that, a lot of the work that we do with astrology, with tarot, with manifestation, with magic, with really having agency over your spirituality and figuring out how to work with the universe, how to work with these magical systems, is an opportunity to meet yourself where you are and then also go as deep as you need to go in order to understand yourself better. I think that astrology is really, all of these practices, but, my core practice is astrology. And it's a pathway into healing and into understanding yourself from a really, really comprehensive point of view. And for me, working with this system for so many years, like I see how it changes people's lives and I see how it improves people's lives. It makes them braver. It makes them more confident. It makes them more courageous. Oh, yeah.
Like how accurate is it?
I mean, it's as accurate as it is.
Do you feel it's I'll explain that, right? Because I've had my charts read many, many times, right?
But you don't know your time of birth.
But I don't know my time of birth, which is, by the way, hopefully my mom will have called me while we're doing this podcast.
This is the call heard around the world. This is the most important call of your life.
I know. And like, I really hope that she recognizes and realizes it and doesn't get distracted. Because and this is what I mean, my mother doesn't remember exactly the time. So she gave me like an approximation, 7:38 a.m. But okay, so let's pretend someone has their proper, time and everything else. Like what I've always noticed is that people read into the information that they're given how they want to read into it, right? Or they give, so I find like it's all perception is sometimes reality, right? I guess you're different than a psychic. So let's talk about that. I think that's where it comes. Okay, so what is the difference? Like a psychic says that they have this idea in their head and they see things that the person's going to experience. And astrology, you being an astrologist, you actually are using data that's in your numbers, right?
Yes.
And so my question, I guess, roundabout way of saying, is astrology accurate or on point to get people the answers they want?
Yes.
Okay.
The simple answer to that is astrology is incredibly accurate and pointed. And then to answer some of the other questions in there, psychics have very unique systems to themselves. I am not a psychic. I'm not a practicing psychic, so I can't speak to how people receive that intuitive information. There are psychic mediums, there are channelers, there are
so many
people who can sort of and have prophetic dreams. There's so many different ways to interact with that extra sensory information, right? And to receive that and to translate it. Where astrologers and psychics overlap is that we're translators. We translate information. But I would say that any storyteller is a translator, right? Any person who's crafting a narrative, who's helping someone understand themselves through their system is somehow an interpreter, somehow a translator, someone who is using information, whether it is downloaded from the heavens or it is in a birth chart,
Yeah.
and using that data. So for my interpretations, I use a date, time, and location of birth, which means I calculate a birth chart. And then based on that birth chart, I can see everything I need to know about who someone is at different points in their life. And the birth chart, is going to meet you where you are as well in your process. So if you are really interested in what's going on with you romantically, like we can use the birth chart to sort of have that conversation.
Can we use my kid, for example? I know his birthday.
Cool.
I've got 2 kids. But my first kid was born January 15th, and he's 12 years old. So that's obviously 2013. And he was born around 8:10 in the morning.
Okay, I'll pull it up right now.
Because
Have you done your children's charts
No,
before?
I have not. And by the way, I now see how my mom can get stuck because I don't remember my daughter what time she was born.
And what was your son's name?
Dylan,
Okay, and you said January
15,
in 2013, you said?
2015, yeah.
15.
Yeah.
And
What am I talking about? 2013. He's 12. What am I was getting them confused. So they're both my favorite, Ed. There you go.
and
2013.
in California?
Yes.
In Los Angeles?
Cedar Sinai.
Okay. And what time?
Can I give you between 8?
No, it has to be to the minute.
8:10. 8.
Okay, are you sure?
I am almost positive. Like maybe 8:12.
All right. Because it has to be to the minute if you want it to be as accurate as possible.
What time is it right now?
1:12.
Okay, hold on a minute. This has to be accurate. I believe that, hold on. What time is it right now in Morocco? God, it's these little details that get me every time. Let me call. Oh, perfect. Oh, thank God he's going to answer. Noah?
Hello?
Okay, you're on speaker on a podcast. This is very important information. Number 1, what time exactly was Dylan born?
Dylan.
Oh my God, we're terrible parents.
You're just not astrologers.
Dylan was born at, I think it was like 10:15 a.m. on, I think it was Tuesday, January 15th,
No,
2000.
what are you talking about? He's 12. He was born 2013, first of all, and he was born at 8. No, you said 2015. Did he not say 2015?
I think
Oh, it's time was 2013.
Okay,
2015.
not 10:15. I said 8:10.
I think it was a little later than 8:10.
Maybe 10:15. Okay, how do we find this out? How do we find that out? And what is Sydney's time of birth? It's very important.
Sydney was in the after. It was early evening.
Oh my God.
I remember being there, and I remember.
That's good. So Dylan was 10:15 or 8:10? You have no idea?
No, but I know it's in the morning, and Sydney was in the early evening because we had already checked in.
Okay, okay, we don't need all.
For a while.
Okay, 10:15 for Dylan then. Are you sure it wasn't 8:10?
They didn't have a chance for the epidural, so.
Thank you. So you don't remember if it was 8:10 or 10:15, or you think it's 10:15?
No. Right now at this moment, I don't recall.
Okay, thank you. Goodbye. When were you born? Do you know your time?
No, I don't remember anymore. I think it's like.
Okay. 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 Thank you. I gotta go. We're on a podcast. I gotta go. Bye. So basically, do most people remember the time of
I think that people often have to seek the information.
10:15? Let's go with 10:15.
I'm not going to do it.
Really?
No.
Why?
Because we don't have an accurate time. We don't know. Both of you have different times. 2 hours apart is a huge difference in astrology.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that it would be, I don't want to share things with you that would be that wouldn't be, then you're going to
Accurate.
pull it up and it would be something else. You know what I mean? I don't want you to, I had the misfortune of thinking I was born at 5:28 a.m., but I was actually born at 5:28 p.m. and I'm an astrologer. And when I first got my chart, there were certain things in it that I was like, okay, yeah, I could see that. It doesn't really totally hit. And then maybe 6 months into my practice, I found out the real time, put it in, and I was like, oh my God, this is so real. This makes so much more sense. So I don't want you to have that experience of being like, yeah, I guess I can like fit that in and make it work, but it's not really what
Not accurate.
Yes. My reputation is on the line.
Oh, yes, I understand. Wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
So most people, though, I would imagine, won't remember, and they'll give you some bogus number unless
Yeah,
they go and search it.
Yes. I mean, as you can see, I try to be very thorough in making sure that the time is as accurate as possible.
Yes.
But, with clients, I've had sessions with them where I've said, I don't think your time is right. Like, if this is not hitting for you, the time isn't right. And then they went and got their birth certificate and it wasn't right.
Really?
Yeah. Because it sometimes, there's a moment where you're seeing yourself, you're hearing about yourself from the perspective of another person, and that can feel a little jarring, and it could feel a little like, am I like that? But if it feels like, that doesn't describe me, then something is amiss. That's how much I believe in this work,
Yeah.
Like astrology, it hits when it's accurate. And you should feel like you're being seen. You should feel like you are being understood for the first time.
Okay, well, that's a great segue into my next question, right? So then when you see all of these clips on Instagram and everywhere else that says the top 3 signs that will make the most money, the top 3 signs that are emotionally resilient or whatever they are, and they go number 3, or the cheapest 3 signs, or how accurate are those?
That's not really the way to work with astrology. That's not the best way to engage with it. But I also recognize that it's a great gateway. I think a lot of us get started in our intrigue in astrology through some really sort of like surface level compatibility or like
Yeah, it's fun.
some generic horoscope, and yes, or like a description. Like, it is fun and it should be fun. Astrology is fun, like, period, you
Right.
know? And then that becomes sort of that it plants a seed for curiosity and it invites us to keep going. When you study this and you really get so embedded, and to me, I'm very spiritual. My spirituality is a big part of my practice. You realize that we are all sort of pieces of the same disco ball,
Mm-hmm.
We're all little mirrors of the same swirling orb that just have light reflected on them at different moments. We're all the same, right? All signs are here to live and experience life just through their particular archetype. So there's no signs that are, better or worse than others. That would be like saying people are better or worse than each other. And that's just not true. That's not the way life is.
But let's go with the compatibility, because I think that one people are really always so interested in. I am. Could you use, and I understand not having the birth date and all that. Is there like truth to, let's say, the best compatible, like who is the most compatible with a Virgo? Who's the most compatible with a Capricorn?
So there's a very easy system for thinking about compatibility. Of course, you're going to look at the whole birth chart. There's different techniques that you use to assess compatibility. I always also say that it's not if you're compatible, it's how you are compatible. But typically what the system is that earth signs, earth signs work with other earth signs and also water signs. Fire signs work with other fire signs and air signs. So each sort of, fire and air go together and earth and water go together.
So I'm Virgo is what?
Earth.
Earth. What are other earth signs?
Taurus and Capricorn.
Yeah.
And then the water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces.
So those are who would be good for Virgo.
Yes, just based on your sun sign. But what I also saw in your chart is that you're an Aquarius moon. So you're a Virgo sun, Aquarius moon. So your moon sign, which is how you feel emotionally, is in an air sign. So it's very intellectual, it needs information. It's very sort of, it's very forward thinking. It's trying to think about like podcasting is so great for Aquarians because we're thinking about the community. We're thinking about how can we make a difference in the world. So on one hand, you have this Virgo sun, which is an earth sign. It's very practical. It's very logical. It's very systematic. And then internally, what actually fuels you is community, conversations, pushing back on things, challenging things, like thinking about how you can make the world a better place through the conversations and the dialogues that you're having.
So then who would I be compatible with based
Well,
on
we
that?
would need your rising sign.
I get it.
Your Venus is also in a fire sign, right? Your Venus is in Leo. Your Mercury is in Libra. So even though you have an earth sign, and your Mars is in Gemini. So even though you have a Virgo sun sign, there's a lot of fire and air in your chart. So depending on what your rising sign is, like a fire or air sign probably feels really good for you.
Which one? What would be a fire air sign?
It's the other half of the zodiac. So it would be Aries is a fire sign, Gemini is a fire sign, or Gemini is an air sign rather. Leo is a fire sign. Libra is a air sign. Sagittarius is a fire sign. Aquarius is an air sign. So it's like the other half of the zodiac. It's the other 6 signs.
Wow. What are you?
I'm a Leo, but I'm a Capricorn rising and I'm a Pisces moon. So these are all very, very different energies. And I tap into each of them in a different way in my life.
Wow, it's very complicated.
It's very complicated.
How long did it take you to become an astrologist?
Well, I started studying astrology in 2013. And I actually was just in a conversation with someone this morning about this. It was at the end of 2017 that I got laid off from my last normal person job.
What was your normal person job?
Well, it was a lot of horrible jobs.
Okay.
Because I was not meant to be doing anything else other than this. So
Really? So what were you doing before?
Well, I went to school for art and art history. So when I graduated college, I went into the art world. And it was hard to find my footing there, but eventually I did. Eventually I got a job that working as a gallerist, I was traveling the world with them, and I was so dissatisfied. It was crazy. I was there. I just felt like something was very wrong. I was very fragmented because why was I living the life that I thought I wanted to live and felt so unfulfilled? And it was in that sort of question, through that pursuit, that I found astrology for myself. And I just went so deep in so fast. And there's lots of other things that happened. A friend of mine was also sort of on a spiritual astrology journey. We ended up starting an astrology dating app together, which we ran from 2014 through 2016. In that pursuit, I started working with astrology mentors to learn astrology so that I could do this app. So I found my teachers, Annabelle Gatt and Ann Ortley, Annabelle Gatt and Ann Ortley, and they became my guides through this process. But I was still afraid to be an astrologer because I was afraid I was pigeonholing myself. I was afraid of the stigma around it. I was afraid of not being taken seriously, of not being respected. I was afraid of people judging me. I was afraid of men saying shitty things to me because I was also like dating at this time, and men are horrible about astrology, broadly speaking.
Well, most men don't take it very seriously, right? They
love
it.
They love to mansplain it.
Yeah.
Like it's their favorite thing.
Well, it's more of a girl. I have to say, it's more of a girl thing.
But
for sure.
that to me is fascinating.
Yeah.
Why? I think that it is because it's an emotional language. And I think it's a language that really demands a level of self-reflection that unfortunately a lot of boys and young men are not exposed to when they're kids. And because of that, it becomes a threatening language for them. Because why do they care? So I don't care what other people's belief systems are.
I know. I think this is what I think. I think that men find it fun and, kind of quirky and interesting. They want to hear what you have to say. But I don't think they take it as deep and as seriously as most women do. This is, of course, a broad general thing, but that's what I would say.
I would say that it's worse than that.
You think so?
Yes, I would. As someone who does this and has to deal with it.
Well, most of your clients, are they mostly women?
Yes. Yes.
Because I will tell you something quite interesting. I have a friend who is kind of very, like, I hate to say I don't know what the word is, but his memory is like, I've never seen anything like it. Kind of reminds me of, like, that Rain Man when he dropped all those things on the floor and he can memorize all of those. This is how my friend is. And he created this very wacky system and he's obsessed over it. Like, he cannot go anywhere and not ask someone their birthday or talk about it. But he created this whole system where he'll say, "What's your birthday? All I need to know is the day." Like, so you're like November 14th, right? And he'll tell you, and then what happens is, like, and he'll say to the other person, "What's your birthday?" And they'll say January 10th. And he'll say, "Okay, you are," and he uses like the cards, like it's called Crown Line, and he uses the cards to tell if you are compatible with this person romantically, on business, whatever. And he uses all these crazy little like things that go in his brain. And he'll be like, "Okay, so your birthday's November 14th. That's the same birthday as Mick Jagger, and this person and this person, this person. You have this trait, that trait, that trait, that trait. Your friend who you're with, his card is a Jack of Hearts and a King of Clubs. It's not compatible because they're even numbers, your odd numbers, your whatever it is." And he will create this whole situation where almost all the time he's been pretty accurate. Because I thought he was a nut job when he came up to me. That's how I met him. I was at a dinner at some restaurant with my family, and he came up to me. He's like, "You have a really nice family. What's your birthday? What's your husband's birthday? What's this birthday?" And and then, like, I thought he was nuts, and then I became quite good friends with the guy, and I said a lot of my friends to him, and he was pretty spot on romantically with work. Like, I will now text him and be like, I don't know, like January 1st, he'll be like, terrible for, business, could be a good romantic partner, or like something like that, like he'll break it down. And so now, like, companies, like VC companies, other companies are hiring him. So when they like are using him on a retainer to say, "Okay, we're going to hire Joe Blow. This is his thing. Is he going to be a good fit? Is he not going to be a good fit?" And they're like using him as like or like this company that we're going to acquire, the CEO was this or whatever. And like they're making like legit business decisions based on like birthdays.
Very cool for your friend. I don't think a woman would ever be able to get away with that.
So that's why I'm bringing this up. He's a guy, by the way.
I know. I don't think that a woman would ever be able to get away with that.
So I wonder if it's because he's categorized it in a way that's not under the astrology, window, and he put a different spin on it, which made it much more palpable for like a man to understand. Is that possible?
Yeah, and he's a man.
And on top of that, yes, he is a man.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, a lot of guys who I will tell you, most of my friends who like him are all women. Like my guys I know will like, they'll like listen and they'll like kind of like chuckle, but they don't take him seriously like my female friends. My female friends now call him all the time and like want to be involved. But these private equity people are using him. Like not a lot, but like, there's a few of them.
Well, there is a quote that people love on the internet, which is from JP Morgan, which is that millionaires don't use astrology, billionaires do. And people really like this quote. And even though obviously, in this time of 2025, I think we have more than enough billionaires. Like, I think I understand why it's an attractive concept because it's true. Like, it is true. It's true that that working with, and I can't speak to your friend's system, but working with astrology is an incredible enhancement to your life. It optimizes your life, period.
Well, what I also think of it is it's another tool in your toolbox, right? Like, I love like the more information that can potentially like give me information to be more successful or better or more aligned. Why not? Like, I don't see there's no harm in it, right?
Totally.
But like, do people get too stuck on it? Do you ever see that? Like that becomes like their only source.
Yes, but I don't think that's an astrology issue. I think that that's the way that's how that person is interacting with anything. You know, when somebody is obsessively like pulling tarot cards around a guy, or if they keep, checking their email when they're waiting for, something to come through, like that's more of their own anxiety and their own patterning around how they're processing their world, than it is about astrology itself. Because astrology is very fluid, and it really meets you where you are. So if we are becoming obsessive about, well, I guess two things. If we're becoming obsessive about checking our chart and being like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? Like, maybe it's good to actually take a step back. Maybe you're not in a good space to work with astrology, because that's you just projecting anxiety onto the system. But on the other hand, as another issue, if people double down on their shitty behavior because of astrology, if they're like, well, I'm a Scorpio, well, I'm a Sag, that's just how I am, like, also a bad use of astrology, right? Astrology is here to help us become the best version of ourselves. Astrology is here to help us get to know ourselves.
Okay, I have a question for you, because I don't know my birthday, but you don't know your, I know my birthday. I don't know the time I was born. That's what I meant. But you know the time you were born.
I do.
Let's just use you as an example, okay? Are you married? Because you're wearing a ring.
I am married, yes.
Okay, so how long have you been married?
I've been married since 2022, but
Okay.
I've been with my partner for 8 years.
Okay, so when you met your partner, did it make sense? Did it make sense based on his chart and your chart?
Yes.
It did?
Yes. Oh my God, I love Luke so much. So Luke, we met on Tinder, and and for anyone who's listening who's like, yeah, Tinder was different then. Like, no, Tinder was disgusting then. Tinder was the hookup app then, just as it is now. Like, it was like disgusting for me to be on Tinder, and it was disgusting for Luke to be on Tinder. But I found, I saw his profile, and I was like, he's either never been on a dating app before, because this is so bare bones, or he's a serial killer. And like, I am going to have to take this risk.
Right.
But quickly found out that he was not, or, prayed that he was not a serial killer. I knew he wasn't a serial killer because he was really curious about astrology. And I mean, I guess he could have been the Zodiac killer now that I think about it. But for me at that moment, it was very disarming, because he was one of the first, if not the first man that I had ever started to chat with who did not think that it was a joke, and who actually sort of was curious and intrigued by it, rather than just, exoticizing it or using it as some sort of like way of making, demeaning me through it in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, like this is a silly, like,
silly girl.
Yeah.
How cute.
Yeah, exactly. How cute. Exactly.
And so, I got he was really interested. He was like, oh, I think I'm an Aries sun, I'm a Virgo moon, I'm a Capricorn rising, I think. Does that make us compatible? It does. And I was like, yeah, it does make us compatible. But I still was like, there's no way that he's actually serious and interested in like having a full-blown conversation about this beyond that. And on our first date, he wanted to understand it. He was interested. He wanted to understand why I liked it and how it worked and what the system was, and how I worked with it and what it meant for us. So then our next date, I came back with like our full charts, which are so electric. I mean, the amount of compatibilities and synchronicities we have in our chart. And I remember going in being like, if this isn't my husband, like, I don't know if this shit works.
Really?
Because our charts are so fucking compatible that like, it has to be. It has to be. But it's also our second date, and I'm coming in being like, this is a lot of pressure on these charts, on this moment. And he thought it was so interesting and so cool. And he was fascinated by...
What does he do for a job?
He's a musician.
Okay, so he's in the arts also.
Yeah.
He's a creative as well. Okay. Have you seen, based on your numbers and your birth date, not numbers, based on the time of birth and all that, like when you have a question about your life, like, oh, is my career going to go a certain way? Am I going to be making money? Am I going to be making a lot of money? And when you look at your numbers, has it been accurate?
Yes.
It has.
Yeah.
So like,
including the stuff that I don't want to be accurate.
I was going to say, so like, because it's you doing it, right? Like, that was my question. Like, how often does that happen when you're like, oh shit, this doesn't look really great for what I want to have happen? Or
I mean, we all go, what I love about astrology is that it's cyclical, right? We go through these cycles and we go through these phases, and astrology reminds us that nothing lasts forever, which is good and bad, right? Sometimes we want things to last forever, but they don't. And sometimes we're like, let me get out of this situation, and we have an out, right?
Yeah.
So for example, last year, so I have a daughter, she's 18 months old. So I'm a new mom. And
oh,
yes,
congratulations.
thank you.
Your big daughter. Oh my God.
And
that's so cute.
Yes, it is so cute.
I
and
bet you know what time she was born.
I do. Yes. But obviously that was the mission of everyone in the room at the moment of delivery.
Right,
so
right.
I have lots of documentation of it, pictures of the clocks, everything.
That's perfect. Yeah.
But last year when we started introducing solids to her, she started to have some like reactions to them. She was having some allergy stuff happen. And that was a fear of mine. It was, I don't know why this was a fear of mine, but it was, it was something that I was really scared of, navigating allergies with a baby. And lo and behold, she's having FPIEs, which is like a vomiting reaction to food. She's having hives to peanuts. Like these things are happening. And lo and behold, in my chart, Saturn, which is the planet of maturity, is on my moon sign, which is about motherhood. And I see very clearly that this transit is taking place in my chart, which is me having to figure out motherhood, me stepping into that role for me having to sort of, and Saturn does a lot of hard lessons, right? It's a tough love planet. So it was this sort of like push to really have to be brave and courageous in this particular area of life. And I knew that at the other side of this transit, when this was over, it was either going to be resolved or it was somehow going to be easier for me. So I use that as sort of my guide and my anchor in this difficult time in our little family unit of figuring out what these allergies were going to be like, to know that how I felt in that moment was not going to last forever. And I was going to reach the other side of it and feel better. And both kind of are true. Her allergies are managed right now, and they're not necessarily as bad as I thought they were going to be. And I also feel more equipped to deal with them. I have an EpiPen. So like I feel more like I have the tools.
Yeah.
And Saturn is all about providing you with the tools. So that was something that I was experiencing in real time as I was sort of navigating this very real life, very embodied, very relatable experience of being a mom and also being an astrologer, working with the system and sort of guiding myself through it.
That makes sense. That's good though. It's good to have that, experience, that knowledge and that background, right? To get maybe hone in on information that you otherwise wouldn't even know, right?
Yes.
So how long did it take you to become like a full-on astrologist?
Well, it was this journey, right? This journey of working with the material, keeping it at arm's length, being afraid, sort of doing things that made me adjacent to it, being like, oh, I'm a founder of an app that's astrology, but I'm not an astrologer,
Because you also, it's interesting because you kind of like poo-poo men who are like kind of, you silly girl and don't take it seriously. But you also had hang-ups about it too.
Well, I was a victim of that.
Right. But even so, like even because you didn't want to you felt, you said earlier, like you kind of felt that you'd be judged. It sounded kind of wonky.
Because I am.
Yeah.
I know,
yes. I mean, yes.
I am. So it was, and I didn't know if I could handle it.
Yeah. No, I totally understand. So does that mean tarot cards aren't as accurate then, of course, as astrology?
Tarot cards are also accurate.
How? But if you're just picking something randomly at a moment in time.
It's a different system. I think that, so tarot is a 78 card system.
Yeah.
And what I love about astrology is that the language for it is so complicated. It's so nuanced. So there's so much to pull from. There's so many interpretations. The permutations of what we can see in a chart are really incalculable,
Right.
Tarot is 78 cards. So that's the sort of the language set is working with that number.
Right.
But there's still infinite number of permutations because you're looking at the cards next to each other and together. And it's another way of telling stories, right? It's another way of being able to sort of use a tool to be able to glean insight and information and wisdom. And whether you're channeling that wisdom from a higher power, from the universe, or from your higher self or your higher consciousness, or you're using it as a mirror to help you understand what you need to know, it works. It is accurate. I mean, I think that tarot is definitely it's an easier system to learn. So because of that, I think that there's a lot more trial and error in it. But every system, there's trial and error. So I love tarot.
You like tarot. Okay, we have to talk about manifestation.
Love manifestation.
Okay, so this is like kind of like one of these things. You might not like me very much after what I'm going to say.
That's not true.
Well,
I don't know.
It may very
hold
well
on.
be
Yeah, let me
true.
buckle up.
Yeah, buckle up. No. I'm not a massive believer in manifestation. I find it to be a little bit, you're going to hate this word, but kind of hokey pokey, wokey, like just kind of like, I'm a big believer in action. Your hard work and action. That's my entire that's my whole philosophy in life. That's how I've gotten anything in life. If I don't sit there and just hope something to happen and put a vision board up. Like, I think if you want something, you got to like work for it, and you have to like go out there and, do the things, to do the hard things over and over again. So when you say manifestation and the idea of just like hoping or thinking, what else do you think? Like, what is your philosophy on manifestation?
Oh, well, it's not hoping and thinking. Okay. I mean, I am in complete agreement with you.
Okay.
And for any of your listeners who know about astrology, like, they know I'm a Capricorn rising.
Okay.
So that speaks for itself. Like, I am.
Why? What does that mean?
I'm very serious.
Okay.
I'm very serious. I work extremely hard.
Yeah.
And I
can tell. You don't seem like even the way you speak, it doesn't seem like you're just like this woo-woo type of.
Yeah. No,
person.
I mean, inside I am.
Right.
But my perspective on reality, I mean, everything that I've been able to create in my life, I've worked really, really hard to create.
Right.
Really intentionally, lots of struggle, lots of effort. I'm definitely someone who, had a lot of responsibilities way too young in my family. And that made me someone who's like very intense, about really putting the work in. And I believe in putting the work in. I don't think that anything happens when you're just like passively hoping things are going to change. You have to make the steps to change them. But manifestation is the intentionality around your action. And manifestation is sort of creating these, I describe manifestation as this feedback loop between what I call the astral realm, which is the realm of hopes and wishes and dreams, and then also the physical world, which is where we do things to make things happen. And I believe that when you work with both of these realms, the realm of hoping and wishing and believing and visualizing and creating and sort of setting yourself up for success through your imagination, through your mind's eye, and then you also are moving forward and you're actually working towards a goal in the physical realm, that is when things really, really happen. I also believe that you need to know what you want in order to make things happen. And that is the work of my work, knowing who you are, knowing what you care about, knowing what actually drives you forward is a critical piece of making things happen, because we live in a culture that has very specific standards of success, money or cars or now fame and, like recognition, right? And it's easy to sort of like just think that you might want those things and to chase those things because you think that is what your soul's work is supposed to. Well, I don't think anyone would be thinking that. But if you're thinking that that's what's going to make you happy, let's say that. But that's not what's going to that doesn't make everyone happy. That's not fulfilling, right? You have to know why you want the things that you want in order to actually be able to bring them into your life and find fulfillment from them. So that is the work of manifestation in my practice.
Interesting. Okay, so I can just like break this down. So it's about envisioning, thinking, knowing what you want, and then taking steps to get that.
Knowing why you want it.
Why you want it.
Yeah. Knowing why you want it. And from an astrological point of view, that's going to where we can use the chart to understand why you want it. You know, we can use the chart to figure out like why your soul is craving it, why your soul came into your body in this lifetime, in this particular experience that you're having, and is saying, you know, these are the things that you need to do, right? And then when you find that fusion between who you are and what you are bringing into your life, like that's when those green lights start, you know, and that's where things really start clicking and things are actually like flowing, and you get into that state where you feel like you are in alignment.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm going to ask you some like some kind of like pop culture fun questions, and you can, without having the time of birth or whatever, but things like, what card is the money card the most? Like what sign or rising, not rising, are you noticing the people who make the most money? Let's go with that, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Well, let me think of how I can answer this as accurately as possible. Because all signs deserve to have abundance. I would say that the signs that are most stereotypically associated with money are going to be Taurus and Capricorn. They're both earth signs. Taurus is the first earth sign of the zodiac. It's very physical, right? It wants what it wants, and it wants to have the things that it wants. And then Capricorn is like the hustler. Capricorn is like the businessman, monopoly man. Like,
Really?
yeah. Like it's, you know, but also in the context of like our late stage capital world, you know, it's easy to sort of like typecast Capricorn as being, I mean, Jeff Bezos is a Capricorn, but it's easy to sort of like associate that. Capricorn also has a lot of spiritual depth to it. But yeah, I mean, Capricorn is sort of thought of as like the entrepreneur.
I should ask you, Donald Trump, right? Our president. Do you know his chart?
Of course. Like the back of my fucking hand.
Okay, so based on what you know, tell us, does it fit him or does it suit him to a T that he is the way he is?
Yes, Donald Trump is a Gemini sun. He is a Leo rising, and he has a Sagittarius moon. He was also born on an eclipse, on a lunar eclipse. So yeah, I mean, Donald Trump is definitely the perfect manifestation of his birth chart. He is truly his birth chart, truly his birth chart to a T. That doesn't mean that every Gemini sun, Sagittarius moon, Leo rising is Donald Trump, because a chart is nature and nurture. But being born into the circumstances that he was born into and having the chart that he has, it's the most literal chart you can ask for. It's crazy. I mean,
Really?
yeah, Geminis in general, you know, they love to throw spaghetti at the wall. And it's an air sign known to be the twins. So there's a duality around it. But there's also just sort of, you know, they love to say shit. They love to just like stir the pot. And that's kind of what riles them up. Like they enjoy the process of kind of like saying things, nothing's too serious. We'll see how it lands. Like lighten up, have a sense of humor. You know, that's the Gemini motto. Sagittarius moon is the emotional world. It's the opposite sign of Gemini. So it's kind of the big philosopher, the big thinking about things. And it's a storyteller. So this is a chart that gets really electrified through stories, through ideas, through concepts. And one of the reasons I think that he surrounds himself with these sort of like pseudo philosophers is because he really is intrigued by that. That really lights him up. And then last but not least, we have a Leo rising, right? Leo is a fire sign that is known, it's the lion, it's sort of zodiac royalty, right? It is sort of, you know, it's ruled by the sun. So it sees itself as the epicenter of the universe. So a Leo rising means that Donald Trump is the main character of his reality, like for life. And apparently all of ours too, because this guy just won't go away.
Yeah.
So we're living in Donald Trump's Leo rising reality. Yeah,
So it's accurate, basically.
it's very accurate.
How about Elon Musk?
Elon's chart, I think that we don't have like the most accurate time of birth. I've been given a few different times, but he's a Cancer sun, and he does have a lot of Gemini in his chart as well. So the Cancer sun in his chart definitely is like a really great, I mean, that's like a very stereotypical chart of someone who loves to procreate.
You got that one
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
The Octomom, also a Cancer sun.
Really?
Yeah.
So who else is a Cancer sun?
A lot of people who don't have kids also. There's a lot of people who are not making like billions of children who are Cancer suns, but that is, Cancer is associated with like motherhood and children. So it is kind of like a funny astrologer bit for Elon that he is a Cancer who loves babies.
Wow.
Kind of. I mean, I don't know if he loves babies.
By the way, found out my kid's birthday is 10/15. Do you want to do it now?
Sure.
Okay. So it's 10/15, not like.
You know it for a fact.
Well, that's what listen, as much as I'm going to know right now. So
10:15 a.m.
10:15 a.m. And it's Capricorn 2013.
Yeah, so this very much changes the chart.
January.
I have January 15th, 2013 at 10:15 a.m. Okay, so Dylan is a Capricorn sun, an Aries rising, if this is an accurate time, but it's right on an edge. He's a 1 degree Aries sun, so if he was born a little bit earlier, it's going to change.
Really?
Yeah.
Like a minute earlier?
Yeah.
Stop
In this
it.
case, if it was 4 minutes earlier. Yeah. So let's table that rising, but I can tell you that he is a Pisces moon. Based on this, I can tell you that he has a lot of sensitivity in his life, in his personhood. And even though he's a Capricorn rising, he also has his Mercury conjunct his sun. We actually have similar charts potentially, but it's important for him to be taken seriously. It's important for him to be, heard and respected and recognized and have his opinions like valued and validated. But there is an inner world in your sun that is very spiritual and very sensitive and really very curious, I would imagine, about like grandparents and ancestors and like where he comes from. And part of that is also trying to figure out like what is the sensitivity that I have. And
He's very sensitive.
Yeah, this gentleness within him.
He's a very kind boy.
Yeah, he does bullying like that, like really deeply disturbs him and upsets him. It's something that is like, he feels on a really deep level.
Wow, that's pretty accurate, actually. Even if
it could be more accurate if we know
exactly.
Yeah.
So, based on my birthday, I want to because how not like are we compatible? Not like romantic.
How are you compatible?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, actually, there's something interesting with your charts, which is, as I mentioned, you're an Aquarius moon. His Mars is an Aquarius in his chart. You guys both have like an activist piece of you. And there's a part of you that feels like, the part of you that wants to make the world a better place, like that also speaks to him as well. And
it does?
Yes.
I don't see it yet.
Well, he's a kid.
He's 12. Yes, he is. But the sensitivity, I mean, he's a very liked kid. Like everyone loves him because he feels other people. It's very empathetic is the word I was looking for.
Yes. And how are you describing an activist? What is your concept of that?
Like basically wants to change the world for good, or wants to like speak out when people are being bullied.
Yeah.
Is that kind of?
Yeah.
Or give information, like kind of like be like a voice of, I don't know the way I look at it as an activist, someone who goes out there and like protests about something that they
not necessarily that. You don't need to be like
me.
on the front line.
With the picket.
You don't need, yes. That's not the way I'm thinking of an activist.
Okay.
I'm thinking of an activist as someone who wants to do the right thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's him for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. I wish I knew my daughters. This is so embarrassing.
Well, what do you know? When's her birthday?
Her birthday is March 23rd.
So she's an Aries.
Yep, 2015.
Cool.
Yeah.
Should we could
Yeah.
dabble?
I think and she was born around 536.
Okay. I'm not going to put anything in.
I know.
What's her name?
Sydney.
And also California. Also LA.
Yeah, LA, yeah. Santa Monica.
And you said March 23rd. And she's the 2015, right?
Yes.
So I'm not going to put in a birth time, but we can see. Okay, different than your son. More Taurus in her chart. She was actually born, interestingly, not far after a solar eclipse, which is kind of cool. But the main difference with her chart and your son's chart is that she sort of wants, like, she's nourished by her comforts. You know, for her, it's like, what's my cozy, like, how do I get cozy? How do I feel good? Like, I don't want to deal with, I want to like turn my brain off and relax and not have to like think too much about these things in order to find her regulation. Your son can really go into these like emotional spaces. Your daughter is kind of, your daughter is able to, well, she has a temper with the Aries sun, of course. But the way that she emotionally regulates is by being like, okay, I just need like my comfort food. I want my TV that I like. I want to just feel like I like want to recenter myself and ground myself with what brings me peace.
Are they compatible?
Of course, everyone is compatible.
Okay, I know. I'm saying, are they compatible based on your chart?
Without knowing her rising sign, it's really tricky. This is like a very rudimentary reading of it.
I know. I'm going to get you the proper.
Yes, because she could have her moon in like the most emotional area of her chart, in which case what I'm saying, it's like actually kind of like take it all with a grain of salt.
Totally.
But with a Taurus moon, she loves you. She loves her mommy so much.
She does?
Yeah.
Could have fooled me. I'm joking.
No. And she loves the stability. She loves stability.
Really?
Yeah.
And Dylan doesn't?
Dylan can hang in like more nebulous. Dylan can, he can float.
This is so interesting. Okay, I got to wrap this because I think my other guest is here and they're like not texting, they're like doing this to me.
Help.
Exactly. Is there anything that I can ask? Thank you, by the way, for even giving me that.
Oh, yes. Well, what do you think?
I think you're spot on with Dylan's sensitivity. Sydney also there's particular characteristics about Sydney that you didn't say, but that could be because you I don't
want to say too much.
Why?
Because I don't know her time.
Yeah, I know. She is like a force of nature. I don't know if you saw that in there.
Well, being born right next to a solar eclipse in Aries is definitely a force.
And she's like competitive and she's like a dancer and anyway. But I appreciate all of it because I love all this stuff. So like even if it's not like completely spot on, that's my fault. That's my fault.
But I want to for the record. Like,
no, it's my fault. I don't have the right information.
Yes,
I know, but I'm going to get it for you.
Yes, get it for me.
And then I'm going to do a recap on this.
Because with your daughter's chart, like, for her being born by a solar eclipse in Aries is absolutely a big deal. Like, eclipses, as I mentioned, Donald Trump born by an eclipse. Like eclipses are these dramatic experiences. So when you're born near one or on one, it's like you have that sort of high highs and low lows are embedded into your DNA. It's a big deal. But because we don't know where it is in her chart, like I can't tell you if that shows up in her creativity or if it shows up in her.
Of course not. Don't even have to explain yourself. It's my fault. I don't have you said to me, I'm not reading your chart, Jennifer, because I don't have the thing. I totally get it.
Did your mom ever call back?
No, I keep on looking at my phone because she didn't, unfortunately. But I'm going to call you. and I'll
Cool.
let you.
You have my number.
Will you promise to do it for me?
I promise. I
Okay.
promise.
Thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you for
And
having me.
You know what? We didn't even do our magic mind shot. I was so interested in starting. I didn't even do it. So normally we do these things when we do this shot right before we do our podcast because we want to keep our guests and me as focused and as alert as possible. And there's it's just all like it's like ashwagandha, lion's mane, like very like it's all like for your brain.
I love it.
The nootropics. And this one has no caffeine. So now they just came out with this caffeine free. And I wanted to actually to take it. And then what you can do is let me know for your next podcast how alert you are.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Okay. Good. Thank you. Because I'm scared.
Oh, who is she?
Yeah. Good. Right?
Wow. What a zing.
I told you. It's amazing. I wasn't just saying it. By the way, I don't just like yap and promote stuff that's just kind of whatever.
It has like a cayenne quality without being cayenne.
I don't have my glasses on or else I would tell you every ingredient, but basically I know there's ashwagandha in there. I know that there's, I think there's, turmeric in there. I know that. Lion's mane. This one has no caffeine.
It's tropical, floral.
It's very good.
Yeah.
I could give you a few to take home.
I will take them.
They're delicious. This is caffeine free. Take mine as well. All right. So the book is called It's All Magic, 365 Reflections on Astrology, Tarot and Manifestation by Aliza Kelly.
No, Aliza.
Oh, damn. Aliza Kelly. Also follow her on Instagram. What's your Instagram?
Aliza Kelly. Yeah.
Easy. Okay.
Surprise.
You said just like a Ibiza, but I guess I forgot. See, if I would have taken that magic one, I would have been way more sharp. But thanks for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.